Ladies, gentlemen, and Haradrim of all ages, yesterday the Gauntlet was finally released into Diablo 4, and with it has come a surprisingly quite fun new activity. Competing for your own spots in the leaderboards, or even just beyond that, and because of the way that they've done the activity, not based literally only on your gear or on your physical movement speed, it's actually really quite intriguing, at least in my own opinion. I've been playing it a fair amount since it launched, and so I thought it would be good to go over my guide to approaching the setup we have for the Gauntlet in week 1, as well as some general tips for approaching it in as a whole. This is just the first week of the activity existing in the game. First and foremost then, this is the map of the Gauntlet for week 1. It is the same for every player. This is the location of each boss in the dungeon, which boss they are specifically, in case that matters to your build, and then under that is the shrine that each one drops on death as well. They drop the same one every time that they die, so this is consistent. The key symbols are enemies that drop an iron key on defeat. Iron keys are used to open the chests that are also on the map. For reference, bosses are worth 9k score as a base, and yellow chests give 8k score each when you open them. White chests give 3k each, which is pretty small. Given both chests are open with the same keys, you always really want to prioritize the yellow ones until you've opened all three, and given that the white ones are only 3k each, they aren't really worth planning your route around so much as they just sort of exist if you happen to pass them and have the spare keys. Past this then, the other two main symbols on the map are the shrine symbols, naturally, that exist. The ones that are naturally on the map, these represent the Pillar of Proving. This is a shrine that instantly respawns every single enemy within the dungeon. Using these wisely is extremely important to mastering the skill of getting a high score at this activity, but arguably maybe even less important than the other symbol, which is the other type of shrine, the Pillar of Glory. This is where they are this week. There are two of them, and what these actually do is give you a 45-second duration shrine buff that boosts all score earned during it by 2.5 times, so 150% bonus score while this is active. And it's very important to note, this does count as a shrine buff, so it is affected by shrine buff duration, the affix you can have on both boots and amulet. I tested myself to make sure that was the case, and so essentially shrine buff duration as a stat has just become mandatory if you want to do well in the Gauntlet, because the difference of 30% or so duration on both score multipliers is insanely large, even if we forget about the shrines dropped by bosses, which are also great to extend as well. Essentially though, these are the pillars of the Gauntlet, the pun not really intended, the bosses, which ones they are, and which shrine buffs they drop when you kill them, the keys, as well as the chests which you can include in your route for bonuses. Also worth mentioning, the Pillar of Glory score bonus does affect chest rewards too if you combine these together. And then of course there are the shrines themselves too. The way to be as successful as possible each week then is essentially to look at yourself, your build, understand your power level as well as your various strengths and weaknesses, look at a breakdown like this that we've got our map with, and then plan yourself out a bit. For example, a good starter strategy is to stick to this cluster of 3 bosses on the left side for this week, route around them, between them, channeling, blast wave, and artillery, 3 really good shrines, going to the various respawn shrines as well, and score multipliers while you do so to just really boost you up. Then finish up by going to the right side to spend any extra keys that you have once you've used all the Pillars of Proving. This strategy got me place 73 for Barbarians for the first hour or so, and once a bit more time had passed and the score started to get a lot higher, I ended up hitting 459k with a more advanced strategy, putting me at 238 on the leaderboard. But I think the fun notable part of that is that I am by far the highest I can see with no uber uniques at all while they're doing it. I'm going full uberless for this right now, mostly just as a way of testing the difference that it can really make, and everyone near me on those leaderboards has 3 ubers equipped, not 1, not 2, everyone nearby has all 3. Everyone above has all 3, and at least the 50 or so below me also have all 3. I didn't keep checking past a certain point, obviously, but to me that indicates that I've got a strategy that puts me above average for the gear that I'm being used. And more importantly, it shows that strategy in this activity is what will put you ahead of a lot of different people, at least early on, as theoretically later in the week the best strategies will become more commonly known in the community, and then it will just be who is the best at executing it really in the final moments before the reset. All that said though, let's talk about this further bit of strategy then. If your build is good enough, then you can actually get more advanced with it, extending the circle of your clears between each Pillar of Proving to match your actual kill speed. Essentially, the long and short of it is, in general, if you hit the end of the timer of the activity and you still have Pillars of Proving that you didn't use, your circle of farming should be smaller. Respawn pillars being used with a tighter area of farm tends to work out to be more efficient score-wise. However, if you end up with no respawn pillars left, none remaining, and still have time left on your run, that means you are killing things fast enough that your circle should expand instead. Your farm loop should be bigger in between respawns because your build is more effective, so that you can maximize the effect of these within the timer that you have. As far as applying that general concept to this week's setup then, we have 3 bosses in the left quadrant, and you start in front of a Tomb Lord. The way that we take advantage of our power here is not to kill fast, but to kill at the right time, to survive and take it at the the right pace. Aggro the Tomb Lord, get his attention, and then carefully drag him towards the left side of the area. You will have to slow down quite a bit to keep his attention sometimes, but it is worth the speed loss for the score gain. Aggro the Scourge of the Land boss as well along the way, grab the Channeling Shrine boss too, and the Artillery Shrine boss right beside him. At that point you have 4 bosses, and you can drag them just a little bit to the northeast to bring them all to a score shrine. Ideally you would activate the shrine just a moment before you kill the first of the 4 bosses, but my build requires some build up, so I have some lacking overlap here where I could spend less time, but the idea functionally is to kill these 4 bosses right beside the score shrine as you activate it, activate all of their shrines, the ones that they drop as they die, simultaneously as you activate the respawn shrine. Use the remaining score shrine duration to go and kill the nearby 3 bosses, which respawn in the same points they did to begin with on the left side, for 7 bosses total at 2.5 times score multiplier per totem. Then you want to go kill the Tomb Lord again, respawn the bosses, group them all up again, and do the same thing. This essentially guarantees you get anywhere from 5 to 7 bosses in the timer of the score pillar, the Pillar of Glory, depending on both movement and kill speed. And then you should still have quite a lot of your timer to cycle around those same 4 bosses with the remaining respawn shrines that you have, just killing them one at a time. No need to group them together outside of the score shrines, it doesn't really help. This is, though, a pretty dominating strategy, at least right now, and at least without uber uniques, and I honestly think this will be how it works in a lot of weeks, unless there are major shifts or change-ups in how this activity functions. But it is quite a fun little way to take advantage of the mechanics we have to the best of our ability. And it's worth mentioning, too, of course, I did say earlier that the Shrine Duration affix affects the Pillar of Glory, and so of course, if you really want to compete for higher scores, you really need to use that combination. It's really important. And that just about does it for this week then. Everyone, let me know what you think about all this, if you think that it's helpful. I figure with the dungeon layout and fillings, all the stuff inside, rotating every week, it will actually change the strategy every week. So if you guys appreciate the map that I've made and the routing advice that I've got, this could definitely be a more regular thing, if that's what you want. And of course, if there is anything that you think could be added to this type of concept as well, let me know in the comments down below. Obviously, things could develop more throughout the week as well, but this is how things are standing in the early period of the first week of the Gauntlet at the very least. These are my strategies that I've worked out so far, my tips and the knowledge that will help you out, that could save you some time working out what the best routing is for you and actually give you a bit of a head start. Obviously, I don't know the best route for every class or every build. You will have to work that out for yourself at least a little bit, but these are the general practices that will help you get there as quickly as you can. And of course, there's just a bunch of general knowledge for the Gauntlet in general too, not just related to this week, as it is a brand new and shiny activity added to the game right now, and it's just sort of its own unique thing too. So I really thought that'd be a great thing to just dive into it on the deep end, go through everything that would help this week, as well as everything that can help long term, and let me know if you want more of these in the future. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world our stage. Goodbye.